Good morning, fourth graders. How are you doing? Mr. Calnan here. I am going to record our math lesson for today, and there's a couple folks that were able to join us here at school, and the rest of you who are learning remotely will follow along with me. I'm going to pause the video throughout so that it'll give you some time to show your work, do your solving, and so that way you can spend as much time as you need to answering these questions, okay? So we're starting a very important skill today, which is going to be how we represent multiplication. Now this is a big part of fourth grade, and we need to be paying very close attention and doing our best from home, okay? So the I can statement says I can describe how to represent multiplication using arrays or concrete models such as counters and base 10 blocks. Okay, the two that I want to focus on today really are base 10 blocks and arrays. Okay, the counters are another option for you, so we'll talk about that briefly. But most kids enjoy the base 10 blocks and the concrete models. Okay, so in the Spark Your Learning section, it says a pint contains 24 strawberries. How can you show the number of strawberries in 3 pints? Okay, so what I would do is I would take the 3 pints. Okay, so if you've ever been to the store to buy strawberries, you know those pints look like little squares or rectangles, similar to the ones that you see up here. Okay, that's a pint. Now it says that a pint contains 24 strawberries. So I could draw 24 strawberries in each one and get my answer. Okay, if you choose to do it that way, then I would tell you that you should keep track of how many you have along the way. So let's just say I'm going to make an array out of my counters here. So if I'm going to do 24, one way I can make 24, I could do 2 by 12, I could do 3 by 8, I could do 4 by 6. Okay, I'm going to use 4 by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Whoops, I'm running out of room. 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay? So take a moment, pause the video if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest, and you can fill in the rest of those with a model showing an array. Oops. Okay, so this is what our model would look like if we were using arrays and counters inside of our squares here. That's what that would look like. Okay. Another way to do it is by using base 10 blocks, and we could do 24 3 times using these base 10 blocks over here. So if each one of these rods here is worth 10, and I wanted to make 24, I would represent that like this: 1, 2, and then the unit cubes are worth 1, so I could do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Then if I did that for each one, 24 and 24, that would give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then my unit cubes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I would take 2 from here, 9, 10, and I'd have 2 left over. So what that gives me is, sorry you can't see that well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 60, 70, 1, 2. So that would equal 72. Okay? So that's how my model can help me. Now, if you prefer the arrays, then I would suggest using that. If the base 10 blocks works easier for you, then use those. Okay? Just don't forget to, if you have a group of these units here that are more than 10, you want to make sure that you regroup those and then leave your other extras out over here. All right, moving on to page 102 next. Okay, we're looking at the section called Build Understanding. A standard apple tree can grow 13 bushels of apples. How can you use base 10 blocks to show the number of bushels 2 standard apple trees can grow? Okay, so this time they're specifically asking us to use base 10 blocks and draw a quick picture. So that's what we're going to do. It says 13 bushels. And if there's 2 standard apple trees, what would that look like? Well, if I'm representing with base 10 blocks, I'm going to go, there's 10, 11, 12, 13, like that. And if there's 2 of them, it would be another 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay? So now I'm just combining what I have there. Okay, these 2 combined, I have 2 10s. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 and 6 equals 26. So what I have there is 13 times 2 equals 26. All right, down to number 2. The guacamole recipe uses avocados. Okay, we see in this blue box here the recipe for guacamole. I tried guacamole when I was about your guys' age, and I hated it. And then I tried it again when I was in my 20s, and I really liked it. So who knows? If you don't like it now, you might like it when you're older. But in order to make guacamole, you need to have 3 avocados. And it says each avocado has 234 calories. How many calories in the guacamole are from avocados? So we want to set up the multiplication equation, 234 times 3. Okay? And they asked us to use the base 10 blocks. Okay, folks, so our quick picture is what the directions asked us to use. Draw a quick picture, which means we're going to use the square, the rod, and the cube down here to represent our picture. So 234, that we have to represent that 3 times. Okay? So 234 is going to be the flat square. 100, 200, 1, 2, 3. So there's our 30, and we need 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what 234 looks like with the quick picture. Okay? Now take a moment and do that 3 times. Pause my video if you need to. All right, now when I go back and when I total up these this quick picture here, I always start with the biggest place value, so the hundreds here, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So I know that the first number in my answer is going to be 6. Okay. Next, I look at my tens. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's good. I don't have to regroup that. So it's 690 something until I get to the ones place. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I can't write 6, 9, 12. So what I need to do is I need to think about if this was a place value chart and I had ones, tens, and hundreds. Six, 9, okay. Out of the 12 that are made up of these, I could move 10 of them over here, which would give me an extra 10, which would make that, instead of 69, that would make that a 0, and that would make this a 7, because one more 10 is 70 than 69. And the ones that I have remaining are the 2 that didn't go into it, so I've got 2. 702. Okay? All right. Now, on the next page, 103, they ask us a couple of questions that you don't need to write down in your book. It just says, how can you use place value in base 10 blocks to find the number of calories in 3 avocados? We just did it through our picture, so I'm not going to have you write anything there. And then it asks us, how can you write a multiplication equation for the base 10 block representation. This part I do want you to do, because we have to get used to writing equations that look like this. They're always written horizontally. 234 times 3 equals our answer of 702. Okay? If we were solving that problem, we'd want to rewrite it vertically, but since we're just writing the equation and we already know the answer, that's what it looks like. On any state test that you see or on any formal assessment that I give here in class, that's what it's going to look like in your answer choices. Okay? All right, we're moving on down to the check understanding. It says there are 126 apples in a bushel. How can you use base 10 blocks to show the number of apples in 4 bushels? So for this one, we're going to be writing 126 times 4, and we're going to use one of the strategies that we've used so far. Okay, there's not a lot of room here to solve, so you might want to just use the extra space that's over here on the side, or if you've got an extra sheet of paper at home, you could do that as well. But 126 apples in a bushel. So I'm going to use, let's see, I think I'll use the quick picture again. 100, since I don't really want to write 126 in arrays. So 126, and I have to do that 4 times. So 126, 126, 126. Okay, one thing I learned from the last problem that I did, I started with the biggest place value and then I had to do regrouping backwards, which didn't really feel natural to me. So I'm going to do it the other way this time. I have 6, 6, 6, and 6. So I have 4 6s. So if you know your multiplication facts really well, then you know that these 4 6s here are going to equal 24, right? Okay. So if I have 24, that means I'm going to group 20 of them together and then move 2 more over here and leave these 4 down here. Okay? So again, if we're thinking about this like a place value chart, now I would have 4 left in the ones place, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 in the tens place. Well, if I have 10 tens, that's the same as 100. So I'm going to bring a 0 here and move over 1 extra 100. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 126 times 4 is 504. Right? If I'm going too fast, I want you to pause the video, rewind the video, watch it again, listen again, draw the pictures, and make sense out of it as best you can. Oops. Okay? Number 2 says use base 10 blocks to show 6 times 13. Draw a quick picture to show your work. 6 times 13. So I'm going to draw the number 13 6 times. Sorry, my Christmas lights just fell down. It was distracting me. So 6 times 13 means I'm going to draw a 1, 11, 12, 13. I mean a 10, 11, 12, 13. 10, 11, 12, 13. 10, 11, 12, 13. 10, 11, 12, 13. 10, 11, 12, 13. And 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay? Again, I'm going to think about my place value chart. If this is the ones and this is the tens, I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 ones, which means I could take 8 of my ones and put them there. And I'm going to add 1 more 10 over here for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 78. Okay? So this is the start of some 2-digit by 1-digit multiplication that we're doing, and even some 3-digit by 1-digit. Okay. Looking ahead to number 3, it says write a multiplication equation for the representation. Okay. If I look at this big flat here, I know that that's worth 100. This rod is worth 10, and this little unit cube is worth 1. So I have the same thing written 3 times, so it's going to be something times 3. Okay? What's the something? Well, it's 100, a 10, and a 1. So to me, that says 111. And that tells me that I have 3 in the ones place, I have 3 tens, and I have 3 hundreds. So 333. Okay? No regrouping necessary, and we're moving on. Okay, so now we've reached the point in the lesson where we're working on your own. Okay? So I would like you to try these. Before I show the work, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and try numbers 4, 5, 6, and 7 on your own without any help from Mr. Calnan. And then once you've done all 4 of those questions, I want you to unpause the video and double check to make sure your work is correct. If there's any mistakes, look and see what I did and correct your mistakes. Okay? This should take you about 10 to 15 minutes to do all 4 of these questions. Okay? I'll pause now and you'll see my answers in just a moment. You can go ahead. Okay, one way that I solved number 4 was by taking the 6, and I knew I had to multiply it times 45, so I broke that 45 apart. I knew I had 4 tens, so 6 times 4 tens, which is the same as 6 times 40, and then 6 times 5 ones, which is the same as 6 times 5. So if I multiply these 2 problems and add them together, I will get my answer. Now, number 4 doesn't ask you to show the answer, so if you did, that was just kind of extra. They just wanted you to tell me how many pumpkins are in the patch. But if you did solve for that answer, you should have got 270. Okay? Moving on down to numbers 5 and 6, they ask us to use base 10 blocks to show the product and draw a quick picture to show your work. So 3 times 214. Okay, this is what my quick picture looks like. 214 written 3 times. So again, I'm going to come over to my ones now, and I'm going to make my first group of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to put those all together in one group. So if I'm making a place value chart, that would leave me 2 left over, and I'm going to carry 1 more over. That gives me 4 tens and 2, 4, 6 hundreds for a total of 642. Okay? Same thing I'm going to do for number 6, 2 times 32. I'm going to write 32. Oh no, that's 100. Sorry, people. 32 looks like this. I'm just going to do that 2 times. 32. Okay, when I combine those, I would get 4 in the ones place, 6 in the tens, for my answer of 64. Okay, so for number 7, it says 4 watermelons each weigh 22 pounds. Use base 10 blocks to show how much the watermelons weigh. Draw a quick picture to show your work. So 22 pounds, 4 times. So if I have 22 pounds, I always want to do that square. 22 looks like this, 22, and I have to do that 4 times. 22, 22, and I'm going to go back up here for 22. Okay? My ones place is 2, 4, 6, 8 altogether. So 8 is in the ones place. And then my tens place is 2, 4, 6, 8. 8. So 22 times 4 equals 88. Okay. All right. So now, at this point, hopefully you've done on your own, and that was up to page 104 in your light colored book. Now in the dark colored book, you have the extra more practice and homework. It's on page 39. I want you to try that on your own. Okay? When you're finished, you have 2 options. You can take a picture of your assignment, both front and back, in a nice well-lit room and submit it to me that way. Or you can save it until we return to school, and you can submit it to me that way. Okay? If the camera's not working for you, or if you've forgotten how to take a picture, you can wait and just save everything, and then when you come back to me after quarantine's over, I will give you credit for everything that you've done. Okay? If you don't do one of those options, though, you will not receive credit for the lesson. Okay? All right, so you're looking at page 39, P39, and P40 for the more practice and homework. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.